Welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
the Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host Mason Kern, and it's almost Christmas time, guys, so you know what that means. We're getting real festive up in the NBC Sports Radio studios, and as always, I do have some great stuff in my kennel, and today we're going to be hearing from Chris Iannetta, the MLB catcher for the Colorado Rockies, as well as James Anderson, who's pioneering the sport of axe throwing. So really exciting stuff you're not going to want to miss. And as always, I do have some awesome sports hot topics to get into, some really timely relevant stuff, and for you basketball specific fans, I have your interesting happenings on the hardwood. Alright guys, in sports hot topics this week, I'm gonna shift a little bit to the college football scene, and not necessarily in a way you might expect. The early signing day for high school football players was this past week, December 19th through 21st. It's the second time in college football that they've done the early signing day kind of recruiting process. And that means that a lot of high schools' best players decided on where they're going to be playing their college football. Now, for the Pac-12, because obviously here in Arizona, you got Arizona State, you got University of Arizona, and kind of in the Pac-12 in general, a lot has been said about the kind of state of the conference and everything that's going on, and that's kind of evident in the recruiting landscape for the Pac-12 as a whole. If you look at the overall trend of recruits and where they went, obviously SEC schools kind of were dominant in the West Coast, the East Coast, and kind of in their recruiting playgrounds. In the Pac-12, Oregon had a pretty good year, put the Pac-12 like kind of on the scene, had a pretty stellar recruiting class for the early signing day. At least there's the national signing day that's still gonna be in February, but nationally ranked 6th in the nation, first in the Pac-12 for Oregon. They pulled the number 2 player in the country, according to 247 Sports composite rankings, in Kayvon Thibodeau. And, overall, Oregon, 4 11-stars, 1 5-star, and that would be Thibodeau, 10 3-stars signed. So pretty good recruiting class for them. And then rounding out the top 5, you have Washington, had 21 commits, 12 4-star, and 9 3-star. Stanford at number 3 with 8 4-star and 14 3-star. USC, even though they had a down year, they're always going to recruit well. The brand and everything going on in Southern California with under Clay Helton. USC rounded out at number 4 with 9 4-stars and 11 3-stars. And then right here in Arizona State rounds out the top 5 at number 5. They signed 4 4-stars and 16 3-stars. And looking at Arizona State's class, for second full class under Herm Edwards, this 2019 cycle, recruiting-wise, Antonio Pierce, the linebackers coach who was made recruiting coordinator, has really revamped the perception of Arizona State football, for sure, not just with his own personal preference, but digital presence as well, with some videos they were putting out during the process and stuff. They ended up pulling the number 2 dual-threat quarterback in the nation from San Bernardino, California, in Jaden Daniels, and that included Daniels coming in, rounded out an ASU class that had 3 quarterbacks, 2 4-star quarterbacks and 1 3-star. All 3 are top 20 quarterbacks in the nation. Jaden Daniels, and then another 4-star in Joey Yellen out of Mission Viejo, and then you have Ethan Long out of West Linn, Oregon, who was number 20, and Long was the 3-star. But this is one of the top quarterback classes, not just in the Pac-12, but in the nation. Trying to replace senior Manny Wilkins, who's leaving, obviously, for graduation. But offensively, looking to kind of fill some holes in that regard. Rounding out the rest of the Pac-12, number 6, you have California. And then 7, right here again in Arizona, U of A. is number 7 so far. Obviously, I mean, like I said, February can change some of these things for National Signing Day, for all the other uncommitted, unsigned recruits. Number 8, UCLA. Number 9, Colorado. 10 was Washington State. 11 is Oregon State, and 12 is Utah, up to date in the Pac-12 recruiting scene. But like I said, early signing day has came and went. But I mean, Pac-12, the state of kind of this conference is really, a lot of people would say, in jeopardy. A lot of room to grow in terms of getting the Pac-12 back on a national landscape. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. The Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. Will be right back after this quick break.
If you're losing your hair or notice that it's getting thinner, listen closely. You can do something about it without messy lotions or drugs. Now you can get clinically proven hair growth results at home with the Hair Max Laser. Hair Max delivers nourishing laser light energy to stimulate hair growth right at the roots. It's FDA cleared, recommended by doctors, and best of all, it has an amazing 93% success rate in clinical studies in both men and women, so you can be sure it works. Use it just 3 times a week and experience new hair growth, increased density, and healthier, fuller, more attractive hair in just weeks with a 5-month money-back guarantee. Now, for a limited time, save 15% on your HairMax order at hairmax.com. Type in code RADIO at checkout or call 1-800-9REGROW. That's hairmax.com, code RADIO, or 1-800-9REGROW. Experience real hair growth and save 15% with HairMax.
Hey there, everybody. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is Chris Iannetta, the catcher for the Colorado Rockies and co-founder of Jack Wine. Chris is a 12-year MLB veteran who has played for the Los Angeles Angels, Seattle Mariners, Arizona Diamondbacks, and now for the Rockies. Chris's off-the-field passion for wine was something he didn't come to realize until his rookie season in the major leagues. A first-generation American from an Italian family, wine was the Iannetta family lifestyle. So along with former teammate Vernon Wells, Chris created Jack Wine, which he's here to tell us more about. So with that, hey Chris, thanks for joining us on the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. So glad you could be here. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Mason.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. So first off, like I said, creator of Jack Wine, what was the kind of idea for the name of the brand, and is it kind of like an acronym for anything? What does it mean?
Yeah, for Vernon and I, it was a passion to start this, and when it came time to actually naming it, we were kind of throwing some names back and forth, and I remember there was an Australian wine, it was a Matolo, and they used their kids' initials as kind of the name of it, so we were kind of playing around with our kids' initials, and the initials spelled Jack, so Vernon has Jace and Christian, and I have Ashlyn and Kylie. So it's spelled out Jack, and that's what we went with as a tribute to family and our kids.
Oh yeah, I really like that. That's cool that you guys kind of combined like the family element into it as well. That's really cool. And then, I mean, like I said, aside from being from an Italian family yourself that made wine, and I read that it was mentioned that wine came in as a passion for you in your rookie season in the MLB. So can you kind of explain how that kind of passion kind of took off for you?
Sure. I mean, wine was a part of my family. It was always on the table when we have our Sunday dinners. And, one of the biggest focal points of those Sunday dinners was obviously my grandfather. He's a big character. And I just remember many days sitting around the table and talking with him and talking about life and stories from Italy and his childhood and the family. So, I had a really close relationship with my grandfather. And in my rookie year, and when I got to the Major League Baseball, kind of the wine thing kind of came up again, because every time you flew into a new city, and if you got in early enough, guys would invite you out to a steakhouse for dinner, and they'd order a nice bottle of wine. And I started having appreciation for what fine wine really tasted like and what some boutique wines really tasted like. So that year, unfortunately, my grandfather passed away. So for me, it was twofold. It was going out to dinner and being able to, experience a really nice glass of wine. I was able to kind of enjoy the wine, but also remember all the times that I had with him and all the times that I had, talking with him as a kid and getting to know him. So for me, it was a way to reminisce about family and also enjoy really great wine.
Right, yeah, and I mean that kind of inspiration for you, I'm sure, played a big role in that. So, I mean, like I said, you and Vernon Wells kind of created this idea together. How did your kind of relationship start together, and then obviously turning into this business endeavor?
Yeah, I met Vernon when I played for the Angels, and we became friends and teammates. And then we both got hurt within 5 days of each other. We both missed 3 months of the season. I hurt my wrist. I think he tore a ligament sliding into second base on his thumb in San Diego. And, we spent 3 months rehabbing and 3 months pretty much on the same routine. So we became pretty close friends. And, we kicked around a bunch of ideas. In life and in baseball, it's like when you're in the same circles and you're relevant to each other, it's easier to stay in touch. But obviously when life takes you to different parts of the country and back to your families, it's hard to really stay in touch. It's hard to really, connect. So we said, well, what would be a good way to do that? And, starting a small business, which eventually became the idea for Jack, was a good way to maintain a friendship over the years.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely really cool, especially because, I mean, in baseball, trades happen, free agency and whatnot, so it's cool that you guys were able to kind of stay in touch that way. And then in terms of just the business itself and Jack Wine in general, where is your guys' main, vineyard, and then what types of different kind of products do you carry?
Sure, of course. Yeah, we're based in Napa. The vineyard itself is on top of Atlas Peak, and we source some of our grapes from the vineyard itself, and then we also source some grapes around the valley. We have our flagship is our estate cab, and we source that from Atlas Peak at a separate vineyard, not ours, in Napa on Atlas Peak, and that's our flagship. We're really excited because our 2016 was rated 96 points, and then our 15, the vintage that's out right now, is rated at 95. So it's been pretty exciting for us. We also have a red blend, which is Cab Merlot and Cab Franc. We source some of the grapes from our vineyard into that blend, and that was rated highly. I think it was a 93. And then we just introduced a Pinot for the first time. It's a Russian River style Pinot this year, which I'm very excited about. One of my passions was to kind of create an old world style Burgundy, and this is a step in that direction. So adding the Pinot into the portfolio rounded out the reds, and then we have a white blend, which I think is exceptional. It's technically a Sauvignon Blanc, but it's really a blend because we have 98% Sauvignon Blanc and about 12% Sauvignon Muscat. So it gives it a really oaky, it gives it a really old world style, almost like a white Burgundy, and that's one thing that we really like. So for people that are truly into that style, the old world style, I think it'll be right in their sweet spot.
And then, I mean, for you guys, I mean, like you're saying, somebody like 2016 got 96 points, 2015 getting 95 points. How does it feel, and how proud are you to truly be kind of creating a really quality product here?
Yeah, this is our goal. We obviously had a passion for wine. We had a passion for creating something special. I think with baseball, we were striving from little kids to be our best. We never really thought that, at least I can speak for myself, I never really thought I'd play Major League Baseball, but I just wanted to be the best baseball player I could be. I wanted to get to the next level. I wanted to go from high school to college, and then when I was in college, I wanted to get drafted and, made my way up to minor leagues. With wine, it's the same way. We have a passion to be the best. We know that we're never going to be the best winery in the world, but we strive to be, one of the best. And we strive to create a boutique wine that is on par with some of the best in Napa and some of the best throughout the world. And our ratings are starting to reflect that, even from our first vintage with the 93 we got on our cab, and then quickly to a 94, and then now 95 and 96. So we're trending to where we want to go, and I think we're there now from a product standpoint. Now it's just getting the word out there and getting the bottles into people's homes so we can share it with them and share our passion. For us, the biggest thing is not only enjoying the wine, is if you can open up our wine at your dinner table or over your counter with friends and family, and that's the centerpiece of a conversation and a conversation starter, and then the rest of the night happens organically. But it started with our passion and our wine. That's the ultimate goal for us.
Right, yeah, and I mean, that's definitely really cool to be able to kind of provide that high-quality product, especially because, I mean, this is a true passion for both you and Vernon. And I know you guys, I mean, you just said recently released that Pinot, but what else? Is there anything up and coming for Jack? Any new types of wines that listeners can be expecting?
Yeah, I mean, as for specific varietals, we're not really looking to expand the portfolio at this point, but we do have it's pretty cool. For the holiday season, we're doing the Ghost of Jack, past, present, and future, and we're going to release a 2014, which is a pass cab from our library, a 2015, which is our current, and we'll get a pre-release, which we're not releasing normally until the spring, of our 2016 cab that was rated 96 points. And we're going to put that together in a wooden box set, and we'll ship that out to you for the holidays. I think it's an awesome presentation. It's phenomenal wine. You get a vertical of wine that really gives a snapshot of how we've grown over the years. And if you're really into high quality boutique wine, then it'd be something any wine lover would be interested. So you can get that off of our website, jackwinery.com. And then for the holidays, we're doing free shipping. So the holiday code is holiday18. So you can get your individual bottles, you can get your allocations, and you can get our wood box sets, which make awesome Christmas gifts and awesome holiday gifts.
Yeah, definitely really cool. I mean, pretty cool idea, especially for the holiday season. But shifting gears a little bit now, Chris, I mean, I just want to know, especially for like a professional athlete, it seems like sometimes athletes don't really have a great game plan sometimes after their respective sports. So for you being able to kind of double your passion for baseball, but then at the same time having a passion for wine and turning that into a business, how cool has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been awesome. You know, Vern and I are very fortunate to be at this point in our careers with baseball, where we ended up and where we ended up in the wine, and where we're starting to go and where we've landed on the wine scene. You know, sports are really tough. If it doesn't work out, it leaves you, it kind of puts your life on hold for a while, and you kind of delayed life for a very long time. So it makes it very difficult if things don't work out the way that you hope and expect them to. But we've both been very fortunate to get to this point, and we're excited. You know, if we can continue to grow this and get this out to people and make people truly understand how great the wine is and develop a passion for it like we do, then we'll be in a really good spot.
Definitely really cool. Well, Chris, thanks so much for taking the time. Where can our listeners go to connect with you or find more info on Jack Wine?
Sure. You can go to any one of our social accounts at jackwinery.com on Twitter and Instagram. I'm on Instagram myself. It's Chris_D_Iannetta on Instagram, and it's Chris Iannetta on Twitter. Just look for the blue checks. I'm verified, so you'll definitely know it's me. Or you can check out jackwinery.com and go right onto our Jack website, and I'm pretty sure our social handles are all up on there as well. So you can definitely follow us throughout the year on sports. You can follow us on the wine scene. We're always posting a lot of pictures of the vineyard and some of our accomplishments in sports, so it's pretty cool.
All right, Chris, thank you so much again for your time. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
If you're tired of hair falling flat, check out the npbeautiful.com flat iron by celebrity hairstylist David Babai, known for Kate Hudson's beachy waves. This sleek modern iron is curved, allowing for endless styling options like waves, flips, curls, and ringlets. Innovative rose gold vibrating plates heat up to 400 degrees, shuffling the hair back and forth to minimize tugging, slipping, or pulling. And 10% of net proceeds support pediatric cancer and animal welfare causes. Find it at npbeautiful.com.
Hey there, everybody. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is James Anderson, the owner of the company Forged Axe Throwing. James got his introduction to axe throwing during a bachelor party for a friend in 2012. After taking up the sport as an amateur, his interest grew, and in 2017 he opened Forged Axe Throwing to build a community of others who were interested in pursuing the sport as well. He's now involved in developing scoring software and developing and promoting the sport as a whole. So with that, James is here to share more info on his company and the sport of axe throwing overall. Hey, James, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. So glad you could join us today.
Thank you very much, Mason. Stoked to be here with you.
Yeah, really glad you could come on. So I'm really interested in this because, I mean, I know this sport, and I mean, I know people who are really into this too, and it's definitely growing. So how did this sport of axe throwing even really get its beginning?
I mean, like any really interesting pastime, it got its beginnings from someone picking up an axe and trying it in their backyard. This has been the resurgence of the sport that we've seen over the past few years here. You know, it's incredible the growth we've seen. Now we're looking at 16,000 players that we're ranking worldwide. But yeah, when it just started, it was a few guys in their backyard trying out the sport and seeing who could best each other in tournaments. And it's really come a long way since then.
Right, yeah, and like I said, I mean, you kind of got your introduction at a bachelor party in 2012. Can we get some more info on that? Like, how did this kind of spark for you?
Yeah, for sure. So I used to work in the whitewater rafting industry. So we took a friend of mine on a whitewater backcountry trip down the Chilcotin River in the interior of British Columbia. And while we were out there, a friend of ours had this huge potato cannon that he had designed, and he brought it out. We set up a big target beside the campfire, and we were trying to fire the potato cannon at it. And, if you missed the target, maybe you could hand out some beverage punishments or something like that to someone else. But so we set this up, but potato cannons take so long to reload, and they're real finicky. So while we were waiting for that to get sorted, someone picked up the axe from beside the campfire and just sort of started tossing it at it. And then pretty quick, that became the competition. We forgot about the potato cannon, and the game was sort of born from there. We kept it for barbecues and backyard events while we were with friends and everything in the summertime. And, my friend and I were sitting around one time. We're like, I wish we could figure out a way to make axe throwing like a bigger thing. Like, I wonder if we could teach other people how to do this, if other people would be interested in it, because everyone loves it when they first see it. It's such an exciting thing.
Right.
And then we found a guy who was also sort of interested in that. He was in Toronto, and we were able to sort of link up, and we got a standardized scoring system down. And yeah, like I said, now the sport has exploded. Every couple of weeks, I see a new venue popping up in the U.S., Canada, Australia, Russia, Asia. It's really taken over. It's a great growth.
Right, yeah, and I mean, for someone who obviously maybe just was doing it for a game, and someone who's trying to get more interested in it, how does one kind of go from it being more of like an amateur party game to it actually becoming like a competitive like sport?
Well, I'm a pretty competitive guy, and I love games and trying to figure out rules for games and trying to determine who's going to win these things. So when we first made it, we came up with a really simple system of like, we're going to aim for the bullseye, and that's that. But the scoring developed a little bit over time. When we were able to hook up with that other guy who was promoting it in Toronto, he had a couple more rules that he developed, and now we've actually we were one of the founding members of the National Axe Throwing Federation, the NATF, and there's a second governing body that's launched called the WATL, the World Axe Throwing League, and both of them have standardized scoring systems. They're slightly different between the two federations, but we've got a standardized system now, and our goal with our software is to try and unify them so that we can present a unified platform and rank the world's best axe throwers in the world. And eventually, I'd love to show the International Olympic Committee that, hey, we got an epic sport here, internationally governed with ranked players, and I think this would be a perfect addition to the Olympics.
Right, yeah, I mean, I was about to kind of get into that too. I'm sure that's kind of one of the main end aspirations for kind of this sport to be introduced as something that is partaken in the Olympics. So what's kind of the process of getting it there?
It's challenging. One of the first things is ensuring that you do have a governing body for the sport, and that your players are ranked over a period of time, and that you're showing progression of the sport. We've got, like I said, with the progression and acceptance of this, we've had enormous growth. So I think we're perfectly positioned to try and make this play right now. With 16,000 ranked players and governing bodies of our sport, lots of attendees at all of our matches for participation. We've got a tournament coming up tomorrow on Saturday, and it's going to be in Chicago, and will be broadcast on ESPN. It's our national championships for the World Axe Throwing League. So, as acceptance grows, participation grows, prize money grows, and sponsorships are coming on board, I think it's really a great time for us to look at, future aspirations so that we can compete on the world stage with other athletes.
Right, yeah, and I mean, especially because it's being broadcast like on ESPN, I mean, that's definitely a huge leap too. So what do you kind of attribute that fast growth from, like I said, I mean, from the beginning of kind of the emergence of this sport into now, like you said, 16,000 ranked players, like what do you attribute the growth so quickly to?
Well, I mean, the first thing is it is so fun to compete. People love the sport. It's accessible. We've got players between, 18 and 70 years old who compete. We run co-ed leagues as well, so, guys and girls competing with each other. Right. It's an awesome time and a great community of people. Since it's a young sport, there is a lot of community around it. Every player kind of has great history, great stories that go along with every rivalries that take place within the world, which is, of course, really exciting. But, I think that the popularity of the sport can be attributed to just how much fun it is. And when you land and sink that first axe in the boards, you see the axe flying through the air, making a full rotation, the blade sort of shimmering off the light, and then it smashes that target and wood chips go flying. I mean, it's a really exciting thing to see and watch. And when you land your first axe, like, you'll be hooked.
Right, yeah, and I mean, like I said kind of in the intro, you're kind of involved in developing the scoring software like for this sport. So can you kind of get into like a brief little breakdown about how the scoring kind of works?
Yeah, absolutely. So the target is it looks a lot like a dartboard. So it's 3 concentric circles, the outside ring being 1 point, the middle ring being 3 points, and our bullseye being 5 points. And then in the top left and top right of the target, there's these 2 green dots as well, and that's called the clutch. So a standard game consists of 5 throws, and on your 5th and final throw, you can call a clutch shot. So you got to call it out, call clutch, and you aim for one of those really small buttons in the top, and yeah, that's worth 7 points. So that would be like the Hail Mary pass of the axe throwing world. You know, it's really challenging, but when you win a game with one of those clutch shots, the crowd goes wild. There's nothing more exciting. So what we did is we created a software at 81score.ca to rank players internationally and give people some additional stats. It's a really stats-driven game. So, you know, if you think about baseball, for example, you know, people get really into the statistics of gameplay. Right. And so when we look at, you know, the software and we think like, you know, if you're trying to improve your game and you say like, oh man, my average points per axe on my 3rd throw is like just a little bit down. If I can improve that 3rd throw, I don't know what's going on. I got to, you know, look at my game and try and figure out what's happening there. Or if you see like, man, my percentage of clutch calls versus actually clutches landed is not worth it. I should really just focus on keeping my average score up with just aiming for bullseyes on that 5th throw. I mean, there's a lot you can do with stats and compare yourself to other players. Like, you know, if I'm playing this guy and I know he always calls clutch 100% of the time, I'm going to have to make sure I'm really on my A game for that one, or maybe practice my clutch shots before going into that round, because it's going to be a challenge.
Right, yeah, for sure. Well, definitely really interesting and exciting to see how this sport is kind of growing, and we'll be sure to probably keep in touch should this sport go to the Olympics. But, James, we're running out of time. Thank you so much. Where can our listeners go to connect with you or find out more about the forged axe throwing?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. If you go to forgedaxe.ca, you can check us out there. We got a whole history of axe throwing and how to get involved, find a local club near yourself. And if you want to check out the scoring software, 81score.ca.
Well, there you go, guys. Make sure to go check out the website and possibly get involved, too. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. We'll be right back after this.
For singers looking for a fun, all-in-one wireless karaoke mic with a built-in mixer speaker and its own light show, Voco Pro's pop-up Oki microphone is for you. It connects to a smartphone or tablet via Bluetooth and accesses YouTube and numerous karaoke apps for hours of entertainment. An onboard MP3 player allows singers to perform recorded MP3 tracks. Its multicolored LED light with on-off switch will automatically dance to the beat of the music, adding visual excitement to any karaoke session. Find it at vocopro.com.
You ready to hoop it up? This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
All right, guys, as always, at the end of the Sports Watchdog Radio Show, we have our interesting happenings on the Hardwood segment, and you know what time it is. We're pivoting on over to the Hardwood, talk some hoops with y'all, and you know I always gotta talk about the Lakers. I told you guys in the past we're always gonna do a little something on them, and some big news happening this week with LeBron kind of making comments about how he'd want to play possibly alongside Anthony Davis, and then people talked to Davis about it. He said, I mean, that's flattering, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care, kind of showing his loyalty to New Orleans, and a lot of small town exec GMs are saying, hey, why is that not considered tampering? Because, I mean, the league does crack down pretty hard on tampering with upcoming free agents and whatnot. But, I mean, if you look at the Clippers and what they did this week in terms of trying to send some of their scouts or some people to watch Kawhi Leonard up in Toronto, because it's no secret that the Clippers want Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi said, hey, I want to be in LA. And then reports came out that he might not want to be on the Lakers, he might want to be on the Clippers, and it's all kind of a confounded mess. But the tampering thing, I really don't think LeBron was like actively recruiting Anthony Davis. He just answered a question. I mean, he did the same thing with Carmelo Anthony. He said he wouldn't be opposed to playing with him, although he's not management, so he doesn't make those decisions. In other news, Trevor Ariza, his stint here in Phoenix is done already. He's in Washington now. Suns get Kelly Oubre, who I think is a pretty serviceable guy who can do a lot of different things, and then they also get Austin Rivers, but Austin Rivers gets waived immediately because the Suns think they don't need that kind of veteran in the locker room, or at least that's what they said, and he wants to be on a contending team or something like that. But then I heard that he's gonna play for Memphis, so a lot of conflicting reports there. But in basketball right now, I mean, like I said, lots of interesting stuff going on. The big news of the week is LeBron tampering with Anthony Davis? Like I said, I don't think so. But, I mean, the Christmas Day games are coming up, guys. I'm pretty excited. I don't know if you are, but I mean, basketball is my favorite sport. I'm really excited for the Christmas basketball games. And enjoy the holidays with your families. I know I will for sure. And thank you guys for being so loyal, tuning in every week. And I appreciate you a lot, and hope you guys have a good holiday. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so at @SportsWatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well at The Sports Watchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog. The Sports Watchdog, Ace and Kern.